Imagine walking into the woods at night. The trees crowd close, the path twists, and then an iron gate appears before you. One gate becomes two become three. Each step you take, the woods grow heavier, darker, until at the seventh, you're told you'll never return. Welcome to one of Pennsylvania's most infamous legends, the 7 Gates of Hell. This is Enigmatic Echoez. I'm your host, Jazz, and we're headed into Hellam Township in York County, Pennsylvania. Now, when you live in a place literally called Hellam, it's almost begging for legends. The name itself comes from English settlers in the 1700s, borrowing from Hellamshire in Yorkshire, England. But for locals, the word hell lingers heavier. By the 20th century, York County was mostly farmland, quiet, rural, and thick with forest. And like many small towns, stories spread faster than facts. The most common version of the tale begins with a mental asylum hidden deep in the woods. People said the asylum was overcrowded, cruel, and isolated from the public eye. Then came the fire. According to the legend, flames engulfed the asylum. Patients ran screaming into the night. Some burned alive, some escaped. Others, people claim, were herded by doctors and guards into containment through a series of gates. Here's the thing. Historians checked. There was never an asylum in Hellam Township. Local records are clear. But Pennsylvania did have a history of tragic asylum fires. In 1881, the Pennsylvania State Lunatic Hospital in Harrisburg suffered a deadly blaze. Other institutions across the state reported escapes, abuses, and accidents. These events were widely covered in newspapers. So while there was no asylum in Hellam, the idea of fire, madness, and gates of containment stuck in the imagination. And from there, the gates became real in people's minds. The gates themselves are said to be scattered along Chowders Road, a rural stretch that winds through dense forest. By day, people report seeing only one gate, rusted, covered in vines, blending into the trees. But by night, locals whisper that all 7 appear, hidden from casual eyes. Each one deeper in the woods, each one harder to cross. The final gate, they say, opens to a place you don't come back from. There are several accounts. The first account is The Vanishing Gate in 1990. A group of teenagers from York County claimed they stumbled across a gate one autumn night. They laughed, dared each other to walk through it. The moment they stepped under the arch, the woods went dead silent. No crickets, no rustle of the leaves. Terrified, they ran back. But when they tried to retrace their steps, the gate was gone. The second account is The Hunter's Terror, early 2000s. A seasoned hunter was out before dawn. He swore he heard dozens of voices, screaming. At first he thought coyotes, but then the screams formed words. "Help me!" He left his stand behind and never returned to those woods again. The third account was The Paranormal Investigators in 2007. A small team from Harrisburg came to document the gates. They filmed themselves entering one of those supposed archways. The footage later showed strange light flares and an unexplained distortion, as if the audio warped. One investigator claimed he felt pushed to the ground by unseen hands. The fourth account was The Seventh Gate Dream in 2012. A woman described recurring dreams. She walked through one gate, then another, each heavier than the last. At the 7th, flames erupted. Later, when she visited the site, she fainted in a clearing. Friends said they smelled sulfur in the air. And the last account is The Night Hikers in 2018. 2 college students exploring the woods at night reported finding 3 distinct gates. Each was rusted, half buried in brush, But the strangest thing, they said after passing the third, they couldn't find their way back. The trail twisted, looping on itself, until finally they stumbled onto the road hours later. Their phones showed they'd walked in circles. Skeptics insist these gates are just remnants of old farm driveways or property markers left over from the early 1900s when Hellam was farmland. But believers point to the eerie silence, phantom lights, and overwhelming sense of dread. Some even claim satanic rituals have been performed near the gates, adding darker energy to the land. The property owners themselves have tried for decades to push back against the legend, posting signs, warning off trespassers, but the harder you try to kill a story, the stronger it seems to get. Here's the real question: why does this legend endure? Because whether or not even gates stand in the woods, the story feels true. It mixes real fears of asylums, fire, being lost in the woods, with local geography. Add the name Hellam Township and suddenly, it's irresistible. The 7 Gates of Hell have appeared in paranormal blogs, TV specials, YouTube explorations. Even skeptics who roll their eyes admit the woods at night can play tricks on the mind. So what do you believe? Are the 7 Gates of Hell just rusting fences tangled in vines? Or are they thresholds, thin places where the ordinary world frays and something darker bleeds through? Maybe the scariest thing isn't whether hell waits behind the 7th gate, but the way stories like this take root, how they live and breathe and pull us deeper into the shadows. Thank you for joining me tonight on Enigmatic Echoes. I'm Jazz, reminding you sometimes the gates we fear aren't just in the woods, they're inside us. Until next time, stay in the shadows. Good night.